Do you ever find yourself wanting to solo travel but you don't know how or where to start? You came to the right place. I am Stephanie, I'm 21 years old and I've traveled to multiple countries by myself. I solo traveled the first time when I was 19 and I went to the United States for my exchange at my university. It was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had. And I don't know what it is with solo travel, but the first time I came back from the United States, I felt like a complete different person. There's so many reasons why I would say that people should go solo traveling, and here's why. So the first reason I would say that you should go solo traveling is because of the freedom that you have. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go traveling with someone else, whether it's family or friends, I always catch myself wanting to do something else that's on schedule. For example, my family wants to go visit this beautiful park, but I just want to sleep in until 11. Usually it's the other way around actually. And honestly, since I go solo traveling, I realized how nice it is to just arrange your own schedule. The other thing about solo traveling is that you can get out of your comfort zone. So whether it's your work environment or you want to go away from family for a while, you'll realize that it does so much to your development and you'll grow so much even if you go away for only 1 or 2 days. You can also just visit another city in your own country. Or just go to a country nearby. You don't have to go all the way across the world to develop yourself and go solo traveling. That's one thing that I want to let you guys know as well. I've noticed that even the small trips for like a weekend or something, they made such a difference as well. And I just want to let you guys know that you don't have to go far to meet yourself. Another reason why I would say that you should go solo traveling is the character development. Like I said before, for me personally, my first time was for a long period of time and far away from my hometown, but it doesn't have to be. I made a small trip to Edinburgh last year and it was just a quick little getaway to work on my thesis. That was the plan. And just, I don't know, walk around a bit through the city, explore a bit, but mostly just work in cafes and just romanticize my life a bit. But then I met these beautiful people in my hostel and we went clubbing for 2 nights in a row. We went sightseeing together and it wasn't actually the plan, but it turned out to be one of the greatest trips of my life. I would even recommend to just choose a place nearby your own city to just feel more safe and comfortable maybe whenever you're still a bit scared and anxious about solo traveling. You can just even like drive for an hour and just visit another town. Just being by yourself really is gonna give you that character development. Another thing about solo traveling is that you're gonna practice your communication. And I don't necessarily mean learning another language because that's a second thing, but the fact that you have to talk and communicate by yourself and you don't have someone else to lean on is gonna make a big difference. I remember the first time I arrived at Phoenix airport and I had to ask for directions or whatever. And I just had such a big stutter because I was like, oh, I have to like ask someone now, like I have to talk to a stranger, like how am I doing this? Right now, after 3 years of solo traveling, I've noticed that it's already improved so much. Like for me, it's really easy right now to go up to someone and be like, hey, can I ask you for the directions to this place? But yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and I know that it can get scary, especially at the beginning. Just do it, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. If you're a native English speaker, you're very lucky. I mean, you can basically go around the world and just talk in your own language, which honestly is so weird to me because I cannot imagine just talking Dutch to everyone. But okay, so if you are a non-native English speaker and you have to go somewhere and speak English and you're not that confident about your English, touristy areas, they're used to like crappy English. You just have to practice and do it to learn it. Just keep practicing, just keep putting yourself out there and just ask. And if you're really hesitant, just pull out Google Translate, you know? It's there for a reason, so no worries about that. Then I would like to go on to the safety part, because I feel like especially as solo female travelers, it's really important to stay safe and be aware. So the first piece of advice that I would like to give is do research about the place that you want to go to. So whether it's a city, an area, a country, make sure that you know if it's safe or not. Of course, you can take the risk and just go there. But especially if you're not familiar with being by yourself and confident with being by yourself, I would recommend to just do some research before. Then if you are in a city and you settle down and you want to go explore, but it's late in the evening, I would recommend to wait until the next morning. It depends on where you go, obviously, but yeah, if you're not really that confident yet, please just wait until it's daylight, because first of all, you will see more. Second of all, it's probably more safe. Then my ultimate tip, it's not that special, but I would still recommend it to everyone, is the Uber app. Uber honestly saved me from so many late night walks and unsafe areas, if that makes sense. I just use the Uber app a lot. It depends on where you are, how expensive it is, to be fair, because getting an Uber in Scotland or Australia is very expensive compared to getting an Uber in Lisbon, Portugal. Trust me, getting an Uber is worth it, especially if you're hesitant if you should go walk. Don't do it, just order an Uber. Just pay a bit more, but be safe. Then I would also recommend Uber over taxi, because in the Uber app you can already see what the set price is gonna be. In a taxi, of course, you have the meter going up and up and up, and you are not completely sure for how much money you're gonna have to drive. Before you go on your trip, I would also recommend to share your location with friends and family, just to be sure. Like, you never know if your phone gets stolen, you never know what's gonna happen. Just to be sure, share your location. And yeah, if you in the end made friends at the place that you're visiting, you can always share your location with them as well. Just make sure that they're actually friends. Another very important thing whenever you go by yourself is obviously having a good connection. So with that I mean a good mobile data or good Wi-Fi. Personally, I always use Olafly because they have very good eSIMs for basically every country in the world. And I would say that their phone plans are rather cheap, but it honestly really depends on what kind of provider you have. I just like using an eSIM so that I don't have to change the actual SIM in my phone, and in that case I won't lose it, because that happened before when I was in Australia, and trust me, it's not fun. Another thing, if it happens that you don't have any good connection or you don't have Wi-Fi, make sure that you have downloaded the Google Maps area. So basically in Google Maps you can download a specific area, and in that case you won't have to use Wi-Fi to use the maps. And it honestly saved me a lot from using the wrong directions. So yeah, that's definitely a piece of advice that I would like to share with you guys. So before you go on your trip, please make sure that you know how to get from the airport to your accommodation. Especially if you have a late night flight and you arrive late at night, you don't want to like get stuck at the airport because there's no public transportation running, or it's not at a walking distance. I mean, usually it's not really a walking distance from the airport, but you never know. And you don't want to like catch a sketchy taxi. So personally, I always look for either public transportation or I just use Uber, and in the app you can already like see if there's Ubers available. Please be aware, sometimes there's no Ubers available. You can always use a taxi, but personally I rather don't. But yeah, just make sure that you know how to find your way to the accommodation that you're staying in. Another very cheesy tip that I have is to always put your purse in front of you instead of at the back. So all your personal belongings like your passport, wallet, phone, please put them in the purse and put it in front of you. Pickpockets are everywhere, like you can't prevent them. Honestly, I had so many stories of people having their shit stolen during solo traveling because they put their phone in their back pockets or in their backpacks or whatever. So please be safe. Have a small purse or a fanny pack in front of you so you can put all your personal belongings in there. As a solo female traveler, I always put my hand in front of the purse as well, just to make sure so that like no one can reach it. So that's according to the safety. If I have something else popping in, I will definitely let you guys know. So basically the main piece of advice when it comes to safety when solo traveling is just to be prepared. Check what kind of transportation is available. Check if your accommodation is in a good area. Always use a fanny pack or a purse in front of you. Make sure that your phone is always either in your hand or in that purse. So another thing that I want to mention before I forget it is whenever you feel unsafe in, for example, public transport, or whenever you're walking around in like a park or whatever, please go to a group of people that you feel safe with. So for example, what I have sometimes is whenever I'm in public transport and I'm walking around to find a spot and I only see like a bit of sketchy people where I'm like, I rather don't go sit here. I just look for either a family or a couple or just people where I get like good vibes with, and then I just stand with them. It's just to make sure that you're a bit more confident with what you're doing and yeah, feeling safe. Alright, I'm quickly interrupting the video as I'm editing the video because I realized that I forgot a very important thing that I want to mention whenever it comes to solo traveling, and that's dining by yourself. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do right now. Just going to a restaurant where I really would like to eat and just going there by myself. It's honestly one of my favorite things to do lately. I would like to talk about it a bit more because I know that it can be scary. I remember the first time I went dining by myself, and it was in Edinburgh in Scotland. I remember that I walked into that fish and chips place and I was like, no, this is kind of scary. There's like people watching me, like wondering why I'm by myself probably, and like why am I doing this? And then after I sat down, I was like, this is honestly so cool. You can still call a family member to like dine with you, or just go on your phone and like play some games if you're really anxious. But honestly, the more that I do it, the more that I just like enjoy my environment and just like look around, like watch people, which honestly one of my favorite activities when I'm traveling. So yeah, honestly, like taking that first step in dining by yourself, it can be really frightening, but once you do it, I promise you it will pay off, and it's honestly so fun. So yeah, that's one thing that I forgot to mention, but I still want to put in this video. So before you go, please make sure that you have some cash with you. This is a thing that I usually forget because I never carry cash with me in the Netherlands, so I usually tend to forget it whenever I go to another country. Especially if you go to another country with a different currency, you might want to get some cash before you leave your home country, because sometimes they tend to have these very high fees whenever you go to an ATM. So yeah, definitely carry some cash with you. I would say go for at least a day with cash. In that case, you always have enough in case your accommodation is not working on your credit card or whatever, or public transportation only takes cash. You just never know. It's always good to carry some around you, but don't take too much in case you get robbed. So one thing I always carry with me whenever I go solo traveling is a power bank. Obviously, it's always charged. I always charge my power bank the day before I leave, and I charge it basically every night, so it's always full, because you never know when your phone is gonna die. Sometimes your phone just like randomly dies, or your battery runs low, and then you're like, shit. And I had to ask other people a couple of times if I can borrow their charger or power bank, and even though I'm not really that awkward with speaking to people anymore, it's still kind of like desperate, you know, so just make sure you always have one. The last thing I would like to mention to you guys today is Hostelworld. I am the biggest fan of Hostelworld. I know that there's still a lot of people who are skeptical about hostels, and I understand, because I had the same a few years ago. But honestly, the more I stay in hostels, the more I appreciate it, especially if they're clean and if they have curtains. They're great. Personally, I do not stay in very big dorms, so 10 people or more I wouldn't stay in, but that's just my own preference. To be fair, you can easily stay in a 12-bed dorm. It's not that bad. Of course, you have to pick the right one, but it's the same with hotels, right? I think everyone always checks if the hotel is clean, what the reviews are, how close it is and nearby the city. And I just do the same with the hostels in Hostelworld or on booking.com, but I tend to use Hostelworld more often. I can make a total different video about Hostelworld itself, but why I use Hostelworld more often is because it has a lot of features in the app that honestly just make my trip 10 times better than just booking it on booking.com. So for example, they have these link ups where you can see the different activities that your hostel offers, and they also put you in a group chat of the hostel, so you can just text like, hey guys, I'm arriving tonight, anyone up for a drink? If you want to meet friends, of course. But you can also just join one of those social events if they host them. I honestly met some of my best friends in the hostels, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I guarantee you, I have the funniest evenings. Even if it's just like a night of beer pong, you just meet a bunch of people, other people join, then you have this big group, you go out for clubbing, or just for drinks, or you just leave it in a hostel. So you have like different categories of hostels. You have like the party hostels, where there's like parties every night. You have like the semi-party hostels. That's the one that I love to stay in. So basically they organize these social events, but you can also just like stay in peace, you know? And they have these hostels that are basically hotels, but just you sleep with other people in a room. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. It's just, what are you looking for? Are you actually looking to party a lot? Then you should look for those party hostels. Usually you can tell by the reviews, so just click on the reviews of the hostel and then check what people of your age tell about the hostel. It might be fun to just meet some new people of the same age, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I can make like a totally different video about hostel world and hostels in general and how I met my friends there and do some story times. If you guys have other suggestions for videos about solo traveling, please let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, don't forget to give me some thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I would like to see you guys in my next video. Bye!